Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outstanding English. My name is Todd Elpervitz. If you're watching live, feel free to write in the chat where you are watching from. And if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments below where you are watching from. Today's lesson is going to be a little strange, a little weird. We're going to be talking about the unexplained, things that if they are real or not. And we're allowed to do a lesson like this because it's October, it's almost Halloween, so we can get a little strange tonight. So for this lesson, I'm going to go over some vocabulary words, and then we'll have a check for understanding for those vocabulary words. And then I have two dialogues for us today, and we'll also have checks for understanding for that. If you have a question during the broadcast, feel free to ask anytime during the lesson, and I'll get to the questions probably towards the end of the lesson. And if you're watching the replay, feel free to leave a question as a comment, and I'll get back to you with an answer in the near future. So let's get started here, everyone. Thanks for joining. Our first special vocabulary item here, this is an easy one. It's ghost, all right? So I think most of us know what a ghost is. We've seen movies with ghosts. Maybe you even believe in ghosts yourself, but these are spirits that kind of float around on Earth. Sometimes they talk to people, and sometimes they move things around. And we have a special name for a ghost that moves things around, and that is a poltergeist. So a poltergeist is a special kind of ghost. Poltergeist, the word is the German word for a rumbling ghost or a noisy ghost. So poltergeist will push around furniture in a house. They may open and close cabinets in a kitchen. And maybe, just maybe, they're trying to warn the people in the house about either danger about the house, or maybe they just don't want the people living in their house. So this could be really, really scary, and I hope you never have to deal with a poltergeist during your life. Very, very frightening. I believe there was a movie in the 80s called The Poltergeist, and I was too young when I watched it, and I don't want to think about that movie because now I won't be able to sleep tonight. So my next special word is haunted, and when a house or any building or any place like a forest has ghosts in it, we say it's haunted. So we have a haunted forest, a haunted house, a haunted supermarket. So maybe these ghosts don't bother anybody. Maybe they're not poltergeists, but they are a bit creepy, and I wouldn't want to go in one. Maybe you have a haunted house in your country that people usually don't go to because it's a little scary, a little spooky. Maybe something bad happened there many, many years ago. So my next special word is spirit possession. And this is when a spirit or a ghost or a demon or a god goes in and controls somebody's body. So the person cannot control their body anymore. They are being controlled by a spirit. And usually that spirit is doing bad things. So if you have a spirit possessing your body, we say that you are possessed. So someone may be possessed by an evil spirit, which may cause them to do terrible things. All right. And then if you or someone you love is possessed, you have a spirit possession, you're possessed, you may need to call an exorcist. An exorcist is someone who performs what's called an exorcism, and they say special prayers, do special ceremonies to get that evil spirit out of your body. This was another movie from the 80s called The Exorcist. Maybe you've seen it, and it was terrifying. It is terrifying even by today's standards. So don't watch that before you go to bed. So there we have exorcist here, and the exorcist here is performing an exorcism and pulling these demons out of this person's body. Ooh, this lesson's giving me the heebie-jeebies. Now let's move away from that scary stuff and talk about ESP. ESP stands for extrasensory perception. Now think about our senses. We have 5 senses. We have sight, we can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, and we can touch. That's 5 senses. Did I say them all? Sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Okay, those are 5 senses. But maybe you have an extra sense, like a 6th sense. And maybe with that extra sense, maybe you can see into the future, or you can understand what people are thinking. You can read their minds. Maybe you have ESP and don't even know it. Maybe you've been sitting on a bus and you think, I think somebody's looking at me. And you turn around and somebody's staring right at you. You were able to feel them looking at you before you saw them looking at you. Maybe you have ESP, or extrasensory perception. Similar to ESP is telepathy. So with telepathy, you can communicate with someone without using your voice, without using sign language, without writing, but by thinking of a message and sending that message to a person with your brain. So using your brain to send someone a message. So that is telepathy. If you can use telepathy to communicate, you are called a telepath. So that's telepathy, sending a message with your brain to somebody else. I'm sending a message to my students right now, and that's to pay close attention because we have a check for understanding soon. And next one is telekinesis. Think of the word tele, like telephone, over a distance. So with telekinesis, you are moving an object with the power of your brain. So let's say you don't like where this vase is on the table. You can use your brain to lift up the vase and move it around the room and put it where you like. That's telekinesis. A few superheroes can use telekinesis. And next up, we're moving away from these mind abilities, and we have the words alien and extraterrestrial, which are synonyms. They mean the same thing. So an alien or an extraterrestrial is some kind of life form that lives outside of Earth's atmosphere. It's not from Earth. So far, we have no evidence that there are aliens or extraterrestrials either in our solar system or in our galaxy or in our universe. So there's lots of movies and comic books and books about aliens. Some of them are very friendly and some of them are not very friendly. And the vehicle that aliens fly around in is called a UFO. So a UFO, this stands for unidentified flying object. Anything in the sky that we don't know what it is a UFO. But if it's an alien UFO, then we know we need to be terrified. Nowadays, sometimes they're called a UAP, which is an unidentified anomalous phenomenon, but usually people just call them UFOs. And there have been photographs that people say are real, that they claim are UFOs, but a lot of them have been debunked, which means that people prove that they are fake. And sometimes we hear stories about an alien abduction. This is when a UFO flies over a person and the person is taken up to the UFO ship. And usually it's through a beam of light. That's how most of the stories go. So that's an alien abduction. And when this happens, the person often reports that they are examined, like the aliens look at them and read their thoughts. And sometimes they experience what's called lost time, where they forget what happened for several hours or for several days. And my next special one here is we're moving away from things from space, and we're talking about cryptids. And cryptids are an animal that people believe is real, but can't prove it or simply haven't proved it yet. So some famous cryptids like the ones we have here, we have Bigfoot, we have the Yeti, the New Jersey Devil, we have a mermaid, and we have a sea monster, the Kraken. And people who study cryptids, they are cryptozoologists, and what they study is called cryptozoology. Just like a biologist studies biology, a cryptozoologist studies cryptozoology. All right, so pretty fascinating stuff here. I'm sure your own culture has their own stories about these kinds of strange monsters that maybe live in the forest or live in the sea. If If you have one of these stories, please write a comment and tell me all about it, because I find this stuff really fascinating. So two famous cryptids. We have Bigfoot here, which people claim to see thousands of times every year in North America, usually in the forests. And we have the Yeti, which people claim to have seen in the Himalayan mountains in Asia. We have Bigfoot and the Yeti here. And then two other famous cryptids. We have the Mothman, which is spotted in Virginia in the USA. So this one was, they assume, was trying to tell people about an upcoming bridge collapse, about a disaster, so people could like stay off the bridge and stay safe. And the other cryptid we have here is Nessie, which is the Loch Ness monster. So this is the famous photograph of Nessie that sparked a lot of curiosity about what is in Loch Ness, which is a lake in Scotland. Is it a living dinosaur from, millions of years ago? Or is it just a hoax, meaning somebody playing a trick on people? And then the next one, we got two here. We got the Chupacabra. Now, Chupacabra is Spanish for goat sucker. And this is a monster, not too big, that this is mostly seen, I think, in Central America. And it goes up to goats at night and sucks their blood. So there are some theories about what this could actually be. Maybe it's a coyote that has mange. So mange is when an animal gets an infection on its skin and it itches all the fur off. So it could be a coyote with mange that is doing this, or it could really be a monster that we don't have any proof about yet. And the next one here is the Wendigo. I hope I said that right, Wendigo. And this is from Native American legends. And this, the Wendigo goes around and eats people. So not a very pleasant monster. So I hope I don't give anybody nightmares tonight. And so here's our check for understanding for our vocabulary items. Not too many today. And it says, what do we call a ghost that moves things around to scare people? Who should you call if someone you know is possessed? What is it called when a person is taken onto a UFO? And what do we call animals that people believe are real, but we can't prove are real? So if you're able to answer these easily, no problem, that's great. And if you do have some difficulty, then you can go back and watch this again after I finish the lesson. In a little while, I'll add chapter markers, so it'll be easy for you to jump around while you're watching the replay. So I hope you got all those. All right, next up, we're going to have our first of two dialogues. And this dialogue is called Abduction. Okay, so this is some pretty scary stuff. So if you're young, you might want to cover your ears for this one. Oh dear. So we have two people talking. We got Chris and Mike. They're good friends. And here it goes. Chris, you won't believe what happened to me last night. I was abducted by a UFO. Seriously, Mike? You're pulling my leg, right? I'm not making this up. I was driving home and suddenly there was this bright light. And the next thing I knew, I was inside a spaceship. Come on, Mike. Spaceships? Aliens? That's something out of a movie. I know it sounds crazy, but it felt so real. I was on a table, and these creatures with big eyes were examining me. They had these strange tools. Tools, huh? What did they do? Give you a checkup? No, Chris. They looked into my thoughts. They talked to me through telepathy. They wanted to understand my emotions. Maybe it was just a vivid dream. I thought of that too, but it was too real, too detailed. And when I woke up this morning, I had these red marks on my arms. Red marks? Let me see. Look, Chris, these weren't here before last night. Maybe they could be some sort of rash or allergy. Chris, I know it sounds unbelievable, but I need you to believe me. This experience was real. Look, Mike, I've known you for years, and I trust you. But this UFO abduction thing is a bit hard to swallow. Maybe you should see a doctor or a therapist. I knew you wouldn't believe me. I'll find someone who will, someone who understands. You're my friend. I'll support you in seeking answers or finding someone who can help you make sense of this experience. Thanks, Chris. That means a lot to me. I appreciate your support. It's good to have a friend like you. So I got 4 questions about this dialogue. All right, my first one is, what happened to Mike? The second one says, how did the creatures talk to Mike? What does Mike have on his arms? And does Chris believe Mike? So if you're able to answer all these, great. And if not, you can review the story at your leisure during the replay. And my next dialogue is about a strange creature. So in this dialogue, we got 2 people camping. Their names are Emily and Alex. And Alex begins, Emily, I can't stop thinking about what we saw earlier. I know. I still can't believe it. Was it Bigfoot? Positive. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. That creature had to be Bigfoot or another cryptid. The way it moved, its eyes, it didn't look like any known animal on Earth. It was so big, and I don't even have words for it. It sent chills down my spine. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just its size. It was the way it disappeared into the trees, like it was part of the forest. And that sound it made, that eerie howl as it walked away. I've never heard anything like that. Maybe the stories about strange creatures walking around this forest are true. I just hope we don't encounter it again tonight, or ever. I think we're safe because our fire is burning. We'll have quite the story to tell when we go back home. Yeah, I guess you're right. I never thought I'd be a part of something like this. We'll remember it for the rest of our lives. All right, kind of spooky there. And these 3 questions say, what did Alex and Emily see? What kind of sound did the creature make? And why does Alex think they are safe? All right, so if you can answer those 3 questions, great. If not, check out the replay and review the story. So I got a little schedule of upcoming lessons. This Friday, it's going to be no lesson. I'm going to take the Friday off. On October 20th, I'll be going over Halloween-related idioms. And on October 27th, our topic will be Halloween in the USA. So a little bit of vocabulary, a little bit of dialogue, and a little bit of a culture lesson there. So we got a couple questions here. One question here. And it says, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe ghosts or UFOs are real? Well, this is probably going to terrify people, but I don't believe in ghosts, but I think I saw one once. I know that's a little hard to understand, but I don't believe in ghosts, really. I don't believe in ghosts, but I think I may have seen one. So maybe I need to save that story for another day because it's getting late here and I need to go to bed soon. I don't want to be too scared before I go to sleep. And as for UFOs, I think aliens exist in maybe other parts of our galaxy or other galaxies, but I don't really believe in UFOs. I don't think they're visiting us. And I don't think they're visiting us because of something called the dark forest theory. And what that says is that if you're somewhere in the universe, you don't want to let other civilizations know that you're here because you don't know if they're going to be friendly or if they are going to be unfriendly to you. And just imagine how people from different cultures have misunderstandings and get into arguments or fights. Imagine the misunderstandings or fights that may occur with an alien civilization. It's just too much to comprehend. So I'm really sure that if there is life in the universe, that everyone's just being quiet because they're afraid that if anyone finds them, there might be misunderstandings and there may be conflict. So thank you everyone for joining here tonight. I hope everyone sleeps well, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for our Halloween related idioms class. So everyone have a good night and have a wonderful weekend. See you in the future.